Show and Tell Boston After Dark. Sorry, with a special guest, Brandie Blaze. Nora, you had a question to ask?
So, Brandie, can you let us know, tell us a little bit about your mental abuse, your physical abuse, and also, your spiritual and mental abuse, because a lot of people fail to realize that when you're being mentally and physically and verbally abused, that's also spiritual.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that I've definitely have dealt with a lot in my life. I try to frame it like I don't really regret any experience that I've had, even if it was traumatic or painful to me, because I know that something came out of that. And I try to make sure that something good came out of that. And I really feel strongly that way about my music. Like, if I had to go through something that hard and that deep, that this art came from me, then I can be okay with that. It doesn't mean that it was right. It doesn't mean that I deserved it, but I can be okay with it, and I can be okay with what I learned from it, but I can absolutely be okay with the woman that I am now, because I was shaped by all those things. Like, I was shaped by the negative things that happened to me, just like I was shaped by being raised by generations of incredible women. It's a lot of women on my mom's side. Like, I have a picture where it's 5 generations of us, and I'm a baby in the picture. I remember my great-great-grandmother. Like, she passed when I was like 8. So, and my great-grandmother passed when I was like 27, 28. So I was really lucky to have kind of like that influence of like strong, incredible women, from my mom on down. So that shaped me. But, the hard things shaped me too. And it's just like one of those things, like, you have to take the highs with the lows. It's a song. Like, I love this song too. It's another song that I be bumping a lot lately. It's by Chance the Rapper and Joey Badass. I love that song. It's just like, you have to take the highs with the lows. Like, you can't experience the highs of life without also experiencing the lowest of lows. That's just kind of how it works. The pendulum is always going to swing back and forth. So there's always going to be things that hurt. There's always going to be things that are painful. You can't prevent it. You can't stop it. What you can do is grow from it. You can be able to recognize signs in people earlier. And even that's hard, because usually abusers are extremely charismatic, which is how they get victims, which is how they also get people to defend them. When that's people be like, this person abused me, and then there's all the people that run out, they would never do that. Because I don't want to say it's just men, because it's women too. Yeah. Men are victims of abuse too. It's not a gender thing, but like, we all know those stories of like being like, this person did something really foul to me, and then people come in, they would never do that. They're the nicest person, and you don't know that person. You're not with that person all the time. I tried to be the best person I can, but I have my faults. I have my flaws. And if you don't know me in that capability, it's really easy to be like, oh, Brandie would never say that. But I be saying some wild, crazy things. Like, you hear my music, like, I be wilding sometimes. Like, and these are things like, if I said it on a song, I probably said it to someone to their face. You know what I'm saying? And that's not pretty. That's something that I have to work on, because that's my defense mechanism to being through things, is like sometimes to be a bitch and be like, I'm going to be real mean and aggressive to you first so that you can't get close to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all work through those things. But at the end of the day, you can't stop bad things, but you can keep progressing through it. You can allow it to make you a better person. And that's hard. That's not easy. I wish it could be a snap and be like, you went through hard things and now you're a great, full, complete person and nothing will ever hurt you. It's not like that. It takes therapy. Okay? Like, I have mental health issues that I go through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to use medication to kind of make sure that I'm in a good place. I'm not ashamed of that. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I got to do what's good for me so that I could be the best version of myself and not, be all over the place and be able to be functional. You know what I mean? But it doesn't define me, but it helps shape me, if that makes sense.
It does.
Definitely does.
Yeah, it really does make sense, and I can relate to that too, because I remember when I was on medication, they had me on Remeron and another antipsychotic. My mother didn't. Somebody in the nursing field, she didn't want me to take it, but she wanted to see what it do. Eventually, like, she would see like the difference in me, because this was when I was in high school. So in high school I was always moving around a lot. I came back from Florida, came back up here, and I was trying to like find my footing. This was before I even knew myself as an artist. So I'm around kids, I'm crying in class for whatever reason, not knowing. And one time, I talked about this before. Like, I went to the hospital because I overdosed off of my medication, and from there, like, I just didn't really see there was no point of me being here, and I didn't really talk about it a lot, so because it was just like one of those things where it's like, why am I here? Like, why am I still going through this? Like, I didn't really see like the light at the end of the tunnel until like I started being around like people who are like creatives, and I felt like
finding purpose.
Yeah, and what's dope about artists is like they know how to create something out of nothing, and it just inspired me to like, yeah, like even like seeing your story and your album is like a beautiful body of work. It just inspired me to really keep going, and like I have a reason here. I have a reason to be here. Like you have a reason to be here, even though you talked about a lot of like the most fervent things in your album, like not even talking to your dad, facing like suicidal, homicidal tendencies, but also like the good things as well, like like how it feels to be like like caressed, how, being eaten out, all that, what I'm saying? Like that's beautiful shit, what I mean? A lot of people are just afraid of that because of the perception and whatnot, and it's like, yeah, but go ahead.
I think like one of my favorite things when I think about life is that nothing is permanent. Literally nothing is. Your own life isn't permanent. Nothing is permanent in this life, good or bad. So when you're on like, and I think we all kind of know that feeling of being like, when things are bad, it'll be like one thing after another, and Murphy's it feels Law. Like you're just like, can I get a break? Like, when does it stop? But it's temporary. All of it is temporary. Everything.
Pain is temporary.
The only thing that is like really like forever is our souls and what we did in our life.
Impact.
The things that we put into the universe, those are the only things that are forever. And what you choose to do with that is up to you. If you choose to put good into the world, I feel like at the end of your time here, you'll be satisfied with that. But if you choose to put ugly, nasty things into the world, that's something that you are going to have to face eventually. Whether that's in this lifetime or in the next one, it's going to come up. You can't operate like that and think that it never comes back to you. It does, even if we never see the payback. And I know that that's a hard part of being an abuse survivor, is kind of like sometimes you see your abuser living life. Like nothing's wrong, like everything is great, and like it gets hard, right? Because you're just like, why am I miserable because of what you did to me, and I get to see you living life? Like, that's hard. But at the end of the day, you might not see them get their lick back, but the universe is always going to give you your lick back, and we might not get to witness it. It might be in their next life. They might, you know what I'm saying? We don't know when it's going to happen, but trust it happens. And sometimes it's not for us to see. Sometimes it's for us to just have that experience, and then you move on and you grow from it, and we're not meant to see the downfall. And then sometimes you get lucky and the universe come through and shoot you a bone, and you get to see the downfall, and you be like,
because karma,
you know what I mean? Because karma is real. It's very real. And you like, my main thing about me is fuck the music and all of that. I just want to be a good person. I like being a nice person. And I like just being kind. And that's really the legacy that I want to leave beyond music. The music is amazing, and it's my life's calling, and I hope people know me for that. But it makes me even happier sometimes when they be like, yo, I met Brandie and she was a sweetheart. She's such a nice person, because I enjoy being a nice person. And that's what I want my contribution to the world to be like outside of music. It's like, Brandie was a nice person and she was loving and she was genuine.
Yeah.
And avoid people that make you want to get nasty.
Okay. And, you know, sometimes you can't avoid them. But, you know, my mom always says, living well is the best revenge. You don't have to do anything when people wrong you. You have to live your best life, because that's the best revenge you could ever have on anyone. Because trust and believe, people know that they hurt you. We like to always be like, oh, they didn't know, or maybe they didn't understand. It's hard when you have a kind, genuine heart to understand someone that does these things intentionally. But it's intentional. We can't you have to believe people what they show you and what you see. So we can't always go into that excuse of, oh, they didn't know. No, you knew. You know exactly what you're doing. People know when they hurt us. They know when they do wrong things. But you can't let wanting to get that get back consume you. Because the best get back is like, yo, I'm out here living life. And that person that hurt me, that's still in, I don't even know if they're still doing events anymore. Like, honestly, because I haven't heard anything in, a minute. But I know that they going to see this. I was just at Boston Herald today. So I know when they see the Herald, they're going to see me. When they see the announcers for Boston Calling, they're going to see me. And they're going to know, you didn't break me. I'm still out here. And not only am I still out here, I'm doing better than I was when we met. Because I was on the cusp of this when you did what you did to me. But now I'm past it. I surpassed anything that I ever dreamed for myself, honestly. I'm already satisfied with where I'm at. But I know it's going to kill you inside. Maybe that's the petty part of me, to be like, I know it kills you to see me doing good. But yeah, I want you to see me on the timeline looking good. You know what I mean? Because I know it's going to kill you. I don't have to do anything to you. I don't have to do anything but live my life and be surrounded by beautiful people like y'all that I know rock with me and love me, and I love y'all and rock with y'all. So I have the genuine love in my life. I don't have to do anything. I already won. You can't break me. You can't. You could try. I could feel like I was broken. There's been so many times I felt like I was, but you can't break me. I'm still here. I'm still alive because I'm supposed to be here right now. If I wasn't meant to be here right now, I'd be dead. Just like you said, like, yo, that wasn't your time. Because I've been through the same thing of being at the end of it and just being like, yo, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to be here no more. But you're still here because it's your time. You still have things to do. You still have things to give the universe. And that's how I feel about myself too. Like, I'm here for a reason. We're both here. All of us are here for a reason. Because we still have something to contribute. When your journey's done, it's done. But we still on it because we still alive. Why y'all got me up in here preaching?
Shit,
like, what?
That was a TED Talks, man. That was crazy. That was so
Y'all
many
got me up in here
bars.
preaching? Like, what?
TED Talk with Brandie.
When I think about Jesus and what he's done.
I was like, this is a
Let me
rapper?
stop.
This is not
Now I'm doing
motivation
too
speaker?
much.
It's crazy.
Shout out to my fam, though, because my family is one of the founding members of Charles Street Church. Which, if you know the story of that, that's connected all to the Freedom Trail. So it's in my blood. You know what I mean?
Pretty good.
Cheers to history.
Going back into it, because we're talking about, like, we've been touching on things about, like, domestic violence and etc. But verbal abuse and people, like, targeting, like, your things that they know that will hurt you. Can you talk about kind of like how you dealt with that or overcame it, or your experience with that in general?
I think it's kind of like something that I've experienced from a very young age, and I feel like most people can relate to that. Mm-hmm. I'm very blessed that I had the family that I had. Very, very lucky, and I like to always acknowledge that, like, yo, what I'm saying comes from a place of privilege because I had a family that rode for me and loved me and, like, propped me up. However, there's people where their first bully is their parent.
Holy shit.
Like, and this, you got used to getting talked like that from, like, birth. So, of course, when someone else talks to you like that, but they claim to love you, it makes sense, right? It feel like home. And I think while I didn't have that experience with my family, I had the experience of being bullied really young. I've always been a big, tall girl my entire life. Never been skinny, always been tall. So that made me a target for bullying. And when you get kind of like, you almost like internalize it, like, yeah, I'm like a piece of shit. I ain't shit. Like, you know, I'm fat, I'm ugly, you know, and you just internalize those things. And then you get older and you fall in love. And, you know, no abuser is going to be like coming out and be like, fuck you, bitch, from the beginning. That's what, you know, when I was talking earlier about like abusers being charismatic, it's because they have to draw you in and trap you. If they can't draw you in and trap you, they cannot find anyone to abuse. You cannot be abusive the first date and think that someone's going to be in a relationship. People will be like, get the hell. Like, maybe you can find someone that's like that hurt and in that much pain that they would take it from the beginning. But most people, no matter what we've been through, will be like, you ain't going to disrespect me and we just met. Like, what is you doing?
Yeah.
So abusers, like, so many times people will be like, oh, you know, trying to like explain it. But I was like, the easiest explanation is always usually the best one, right? Which is like, yo, this is a choice. You're choosing to be abusive. You're choosing to do this because you choose to be nice in the beginning. So I know you know how to act, right? Because that's how you pull somebody in. But then once they in, it starts slow. It's never like an immediate turn up. It's very slow and just kind of little comments where you're kind of like, it throws you off. Like, am I too sensitive? Did I read too much into that? And then it builds from there. It's so deep. And that's why I tell people, like, this is intentional. This is intentional what people are doing to you. This is not an accident. It's not an accident that they presented one way to you until you got comfortable and then started slowly rolling out the abuse. No one punches no one on the face in a first date unless like something is horribly wrong. Most people don't do that. Right. And then most people would be like, are you out your mind? Like, get the hell away. Like, you can't get a victim like that, right? You have to trap them. You have to love them hard and fast. And a lot of times for people that have been through a lot of trauma, especially as children, and I have, you know, trauma from a child, not from my family, but I have had experienced trauma as a child. You seek that love out because it feels, when you didn't get it as a kid or something happened to you as a kid, it's missing. And you just didn't get it. And now you're still searching for it as an adult. And then that person sees it in you. And you just think, I'm just being open and real and honest, and I could just trust this person because I feel so good and I could tell them everything that happened to me. But they're taking notes so that they know what to use against you later. All of this is intentional. None of this is, nobody is accidentally an abuser. And not to say that you can accidentally, you know, so things happen, you know what I'm saying? It's the nuance of it. But for the most part, what is really true is that most people are not an unintentional abuser and accidentally abuse you.
Yeah.
That's who they are. And that's who they sought out. And they see the hole in you. And you're just like, no, I'm just being open and vulnerable. And then they take that part of you. It's crazy. And it's so easy to get wrapped and sucked into it. Yeah. So easy. But it's not, I think the most important thing is that it's not a reflection of you to get sucked into that. And that's something that I struggle with the most, is that I felt it was a reflection of me. And I think especially having been through abusive situation as a kid and a teenager, especially I went through some hellish things as a teenager. I think then being older and you feel like you're more mature to then be in that situation then when you're like in your 30s and you're like, oh, I learned and I'm good. I'm in my 30s. I'm grown. Like, and you get back into that situation, you take it even harder because you're just like, I've been living life. I've been through this already. How did I get sucked back into this? But it's not a reflection of you. It's just sometimes people are really, really good at doing really evil shit.
So how did you recognize that you were in that situation, and how did you I don't know how it maybe ended, or how did you end up coming to realizations, or breaking away and not breaking that cycle?
It was very hard because with this last situation that I was in, we met. Our first date was 2 weeks before everything shut down for COVID. So when you think about that, that means that, you know, I had like a very small bubble because I worked through the pandemic. Because I suddenly became an essential employee and I didn't know I was an essential employee before that, but okay, go off. Anyway, but I was working maybe 80% from home, 20% in person. And we really liked each other, but because of that happening right at the beginning, we ended up spending a lot of time together that wouldn't have happened if COVID didn't happen. Because I've always worked a lot and I have music and, you know, especially 2020, I was booked out from January 2020, I was booked out into 2021. So if COVID didn't happen, I don't think that relationship would have happened because I wouldn't have had time for it. But then these things happen. All my shows get canceled. I'm working from home the majority of the time. So, you know, it's like I might as well just work from your apartment and you just bond really fast. Like that was just like a set of circumstances nobody could ever see coming, right? So I think because of that, and also before I had met them, I had been single for about 7 years.
Yeah,
because I was in an abusive situation before that. And I was just single for a very, very long time. I didn't want to date. Like, it was just a whole thing. And when I met this person, it was like a click. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to be single. And then COVID happened. And then it's like, well, I can't, you know, be out on the street. You know what I mean? So you're here. We vibe. Okay, cool. So it became a thing like that from the proximity. I would say this, that my ex... not to make excuses, I don't think that he's a bad person. But my ex is also an alcoholic. And it's very severe. Very severe. Like I've never, like shakes in the morning, severe. So that liquor, he was also someone that had dealt with a lot of trauma. And never really dealt with it. So then when he would start to drink, and then now we're in COVID and, you know, you lose your job and now we're stuck in the house, but I'm still working. You know what I mean? It just brings up a lot of very crazy dynamics. And then when you add a lot of alcohol into that dynamic, then it becomes something else. And, you know, not to make excuses for him, because he could definitely be better and he could do better and he could have done better by me. Especially, you know, how much we loved each other for real. But, you know, addiction is not a joke. And sometimes it brings out very, very ugly sides of people that maybe you didn't see coming. And maybe would have been more contained if they had control of their addiction. But also, I can't call that. I can't. Because I don't know if they could get sober tomorrow and be a better person and be completely different and none of those things. I can't tell you that. But also, I never knew them sober.
But also, you see that, especially with addiction, there is that saying where it's like, when a man has nothing. No, wait. Is it when you have nothing, you get tested? Is that the saying? Mo, is that the saying?
I've never heard of that
saying
before.
A man is tested when he has nothing. Maybe not.
Okay, listen, if you say it, then it's a saying, and then I'm gonna just repeat it, and then now it becomes a thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true.
On his purpose, he distracts himself with pleasures. Is that the one you're talking about?
If a man if a man
is not on his purpose, he's distracting himself with pleasures like alcohol, sex, drugs, etc.
If a man is not on his purpose, he distracts himself with pleasure.
He has no purpose.
Well, I'm just saying when a man is down low, and then on top of that he has an addiction, and then like, you know, he's not in the place of being a provider, and also is like his girl is like, you know, she's still working with that. Like, you're probably gonna see the worst in him. Like, it's gonna be really bad.
That part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just kind of like, I also understand that. Well, I'm not straight, so there's that. But I also understand that it takes a very, very secure person to date me. And I don't think that he had that security within himself. I'm very loyal. Like, I never cheat first.
Wait.
Maybe
what?
second.
Listen.
Get back
I
season.
said what I said. I said I don't cheat first.
Get back season, baby.
Okay, but no, I'm a loyal person. Like not being. That's not something that he ever had to worry about. But I'm also someone. I'm not just like a girl that's like, okay, I am a workaholic. Valid. I do work a lot. I am a genuine workaholic for real. But it wasn't just that. I think it might have been one thing if it was like I was a nurse working as much as I do. I think it becomes something completely different where it's like you're a rapper and people look at you a certain way.
Yeah, you got a fan base.
You rap about certain things. And I think kind of who I was maybe brought some insecurities out. But at the end of the day, that's not my fault. That has nothing to do with me because you knew what you signed up for, which was crazy because this was someone, I didn't know them before, but they knew of me as Brandie Blaze. It was like, oh, she fired. I got a little crush on her. You know what I'm saying? Shoot your shot and then the shot ended up going in. You know what I mean? But so I'm like, but you knew who I was from the beginning. So what is this bringing out? And I realized, like, I think you had asked, like, kind of like, what was the realization? The realization for me was that I realized that they were fucking up all my big moments. All my big moments became about them and their emotions. Like, they would start arguments. It would become a whole thing on things when it was big for me. And I said, I can't have that. I cannot have that. Like, I have one of the biggest shows of my career, and you want to argue and fight with me about...
It's not supportive.
Right, about like... but no, it would be wild, like imaginary groupies. Not saying that I don't have groupies, because I'm fine. But like... But I'd be like, but you know what you liked it. That's why you trying to holler,
exactly.
right? Like, how you gonna be mad at me for what attracted you to me? That's what it for real. Because
It's like if
because
you
you
saw
liked that I was a female rapper talking real spicy, you thought I was real pretty, so it was cool when you tried to bag me. But then now we're in a relationship, and now you think what?
He's trying to change you.
And it ain't happening because that's what you liked, and that's how I know it's BS. And it's more about control and ownership. Because you're not going to tell me that someone that's all secure and knows how to be in a healthy relationship and knows how to be a healthy partner would have that reaction to you continuing a career that attracted you to them in the first, like, please make it make sense. That's when I knew. I was like, I would have like these big events where it's like, this is my time. Like, this is something that I wanted. This is a great thing for me. And you would think that my partner would be there like, let's go. Like, on the surface, he would say that and be like, I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest cheerleader. On the surface, he would say that. But when it became my big nights, then it became an argument. And it made me go into my things feeling shitty. Things that I worked for that to accomplish, things that I wanted. And that's a big sign. When you have accomplishments and you have big things happening in your life and your partner ruins them. People don't peep that. But think about it. If every time you had an accomplishment, every time you had something that should have been about you, and then it suddenly became about them, and it became about an argument, that's intentional.
Yeah.
That's intentional because they don't want you to feel too good. Because when you feel too good and you get too confident, then you're going to leave. Because I don't need your bullshit. You're going to leave.
Holy shit.
You have to feel bad. You have to be down on yourself. You can't enjoy the good things in your life because that's how you stay in the relationship. Because you think this is what I deserve. This is the best I can do. A good person is going to be like, you're like, Brandie Blaze is, I'm taking Brandie Blaze? What? Like, I'm here for it.
And I know,
Okay.
I know it's a trend too that like people, like they like you when you're down, but then when you get better, like they're just like, well, what the fuck?
That's so
you know what I mean?
Yep. They want you when you
That's
broken
real.
down,
Yeah.
but as soon as you get back strength, as soon as you start talking back, as soon as you get a backbone, then it's a problem.
And then you're the problem.
Oh, of course, because then now it becomes, because let anybody tell it, they'll be like, Brandie was a crazy one.
Yep, she was toxic.
About who I am from the beginning. Everyone knows what they sign up. Like, I'm like, honest to a fault when I'm dating. Like, I'm that person where, like, if we're just talking and vibing, but I know that I have someone else that I kind of like, I will tell you about that. And I'll tell the other person, oh, I messed up, you know, and we just talk or whatever. Like, that's how honest I am. So when you have someone like that, and it's like, they try to make you feel like you doing something wrong. Like, that was a big thing, like, kind of also making reality seem like something else that it wasn't. So to me, I'd be like, I told you these things. These things happen. I told you everything that happened, everything that was going to happen. You knew about it in advance. But then you could get mad at me later and then be like, oh, you never told me that. Like, I'm not crazy. Like, I know I did.
No, that's fucking insane. Unfortunately, like, time is running up, but I would love to continue this conversation. We need a part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Brandie, you are a TED Talks person. We need to see you on TED Talks sometime.
Okay, let's work out. Nah, y'all really had me going to church. Like, usually I don't get to do this. So I vibe with y'all real heavy, and my new thing has been giving people their flowers when I see them. So I just want to tell y'all, and that's all y'all, the collective y'all. If you watching this, you can't see the people behind the lights. I can't see them, but I know they're there. But I just want to tell y'all that, like, yo, what y'all are doing here is very special, and it's very beautiful. And anytime that I've been here, y'all made me feel like family and made me feel like I was at home. I know I'm not the only artist that feels that way about y'all. And what y'all do for the community is so needed and so special. So I just want to make sure that I give y'all flowers too.
And you do the same with you and your community and everything.
Absolutely.
So your flowers, we want to give that back to you because we see the impact you have.
Nah, you can't reverse the flowers. You gotta take the compliment.
Reverse.
You just gotta take the compliment, and that's it.
But for those who don't know, can you please give us your drops? Where can we find you? Where can we see
And when is your next show?
Yes, I don't know when this is coming out, so I don't know if I'm gonna be saying something in this after the fact. But I don't care. Whatever. If I say it and it's after the fact and you missed it, thank you.
That's you.
That's on you. No. I'm Brandie Blaze on everything. BRANDIE BLAZE. I also have my own lipstick line, which is Fire by Brandie. So that's PHYRE by BRANDIE makeup.com. So, you know, get the lipstick popping. New album out for 20, release show for 21, and then after that we about to go rock at Boston Calling. What?
It's a wrap.
Let's go. Show and Tell Boston After Dark, and that is a wrap.